Hello, welcome to SquishiVision, where I'm about to react to the, I'm very quiet, probably because I've shifted my chair over this side. I should probably boost up my mic a wee bit. Is that better? Hello! Maybe a bit pointed. A bit higher up. Hello, welcome to SquishiVision. I have just finished watching... Should I boost my gain a bit? I think we can probably boost my... It's because I've moved all the way over here. And I used to just stream leaning like this. And this is fine. Because I'm in the mic. In fact, I probably should do actually. Can I... Where's my... cable? Is that better? That's better. Okay. Now that we fixed that. So this is season 2 of Andor that we've been waiting for it doesn't feel like 2.5 years, does it? This is really 2022. God, these last 2 years. They've really gone, haven't they? I could have sworn it was like a year ago. Boy, okay, well, yeah. For the first season of Andor, really strong. It was really strong, but you had to kind of like... I think I need to say this because it precedes a lot more about in this reaction. The first 3 episodes of Andor were interesting, but they weren't the peak of the show, and they weren't what landed the show. And I think if it ended up literally just being if it ends up literally just being those 3 episodes, I mean, there's no reason why it would ever be just those 3 episodes, but on their own, they weren't impressive. They weren't. I don't agree with like the criticism that a lot of people have that they were bad. It's just you need to the entire. Andor is one of the shows that you need to take in its entirety. It's Alexa, Volume 0. It's an arc show through and through, and so if the show in its parts isn't what makes it impressive. It's the whole thing together. The first 3 episodes of Andor season 1, Casa, that would be me reckoning. I mean, it has some strong bits in it. The opening scene where Cassian has to execute a cop is a really strong scene that kind of sets the mission statement of the show and what tone we're taking and everything. But, obviously the Dani arc and the prison arc, they're what, and then the Rick's Road episode, that's what lands the show. And I think that's very much the case of this season. I'll start by mentioning what my least favorite thing is, and because it was an issue I had with the first season of Andor that I was hoping we would. Well, it was an issue I had the first season of Andor, and I was fine with it because I felt that once we reach the second season, we wouldn't be doing this because, like... Okay, let me mention... Okay, I'm trying to do this backwards, but it's not working. Let me mention the issue first, and then we'll mention what I was hoping. In these 3 episodes, Andor is relegated to the least interesting of the 4 storylines that are going on, where something has happened, and because of that, he has now been trapped somewhere and isn't contributing to the rest of the rebellion narrative at all, isn't pushing anything forward, is arguably like the least driving element of a show named after him. And I was fine with that in season 1, because season 1 was very much about how Andor's flaw is that he was passive. He hadn't answered the call. He hadn't decided he wanted to become this active part of the rebellion. He's an active rebel. He was just there, surviving passively, trying to stay alive, and coming to the realization that he can't, because he's being slowly radicalized. He's being punished by the system. He's seeing all this injustice. He's meeting all these people, and it's once we get to the end of that he then realizes he needs to be a more proactive part of this rebellion. That's his kind of story in season 1. So I was hoping then in season 2 he would stop being that, because it no longer he's already reached a point in his arc where that's no longer the case. And yet, literally in the first episode, he has a short action bit where he steals a TIE Avenger and then gets trapped on Yavin 4, and it's great in the story that he's in. Seeing a Andor who is so savvy about what is happening with the rebel factions bickering and infighting, that he's able to play off it and comment on it, and he's not like, at no point is he concerned or stressed or worried or anxious. He's like, yeah, I just need to play the hand I'm given until I can see an opportunity. And that was, don't get me wrong, definitely fun to see, but he's still a passive element in the least interesting of the arcs. And I'm hoping that's just an opener thing, like with season 1 of Andor, where we have to have a slow burn and re-establish where everyone else is, so Andor is taking the back seat, because otherwise, I'm not complaining massively because all the other storylines are so strong on their own. It just makes me wonder why this show had to follow Andor, and Andor is a strong character and someone who you could definitely follow. But if the show wasn't called Andor, I generally wouldn't mind. I generally wouldn't care about the storylines that he's part of, because then he's just one of the ensemble stories that's going on. But the show's called Andor, so you expect something more important with Andor, and it's not being delivered. That being said, the other storylines are really good. I mean, the one about the 4 refugees from Ferrix being undocumented workers is extremely timely. You could call it prophetic, except anyone who's been paying attention to America, none of this is new. It's just being lit in the lime in a different fashion than it has been before. None of this is new. It's a history repeating itself, a history that's been happening. We've just only really have these cycles where occasionally we come back and notice it's happening. But it's timely. It's hit one of those cycles. It's hit a cycle where in America, I mean, and I say America as if England didn't have riots a year ago, where it almost very much became the same thing. And in some respects, it probably is. I mean, I've seen immigration agents in Newcastle down my street, not after me, but I've seen them in the street. Who knows? Maybe they're doing the exact same thing as they're doing in America. We're just less cognizant of it here. But yeah, their whole thing about having to lay low, having to play the system, having to work out, should we flee and run, or will that attract attention to ourselves? Should we just act normal, just hope it passes by? The indifference and normalization from the Empire is so haunting. The fact that they're like, oh, if we're lucky, they just will have a day where we decide to just not be bothered to check us, because it's just an extra piece of work for them to do. Or, they're only picking people at random because they're not trying to be systematic, they're just trying to hit a quota. But the normalization, the bureaucracy of it all, the systematic nature of it is haunting and surreal. And then you got even an extra dark part that the reason that Imperial Lieutenant probably noticed Bix, the reason the Imperial Lieutenant probably stopped any of them in the first place and decided that he was going to check any of them in the first place was just because he was an incel who was horny I'm saying horny as if the reason why people commit sexual assault is because of desire and not power. An incel who was insecure and targeted Bix as a target that was literally the only reason that, you know, the banality of it is what I'm trying to comment on. The fact that, you know, they have these moments of like normality where they're sitting around a table and they're joking, and they're having just a normal time, but they're also having to check their backs and be cautious about kind of the administration, and things like, you know, using terms like undocumented and illegal and visas, and it's Star Wars, and it's going to, and like it's the same way that Andor got arrested in the first season because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. They did nothing wrong, and they were undocumented and just disappeared to a prison, which is what the what they're doing in America right now, and probably, you know, we're not extraordinarily safe from it happening in Britain if it's not already happening already. It's raw and it's real. I was interested by the kind of minute detail where Brasso accuses the farmer that he's working for of selling them out, and then they kind of give each other a look, and I'm like, so did the farmer sell them out, or did Brasso act as if that's what he thought had happened, so that the farmer wouldn't be like arrested as a conspirator? I feel like there's something else going on there that's subtle enough. I'm not sure if it's too subtle, because I wasn't sure if that was just me headcanoning something, or if it was meant to be a deliberate part of the text, or if it was meant to be deliberate ambiguous. I'm not sure. I think that part could be a bit more clearer. And then Pop Brasso gets killed. And then obviously there's the whole thing about the sexual assault, which got spoiled for me. I missed this episode on release by a day, because I got home yesterday and fell asleep before I had a chance to make food, and I didn't watch it. Wasn't able to watch it last night, and I was only able to watch it. I said today. I didn't even get to watch it yesterday. I got to watch it like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. It's 4 in the morning now. About 5 hours time. 4 hours time. I'm traveling down for Empire. This is like, I should be asleep. I should be packing. Probably should speed this up. But yeah, so that thing got spoiled because that was the thing that everyone I mean, it's my own fault. I shouldn't have been on the internet. But I saw numerous Facebook posts and numerous Twitter posts being like, it's most of them people defending it being in the show against people who are like, oh, Star Wars shouldn't deal with the topic of rape. And it's like, this is a darker, more adult show about the horrors of the rise of fascism, which is about dictatorship and control. It's a not too subtle analogy of Nazism amongst other fascist regimes. I'm sorry, the Nazis raped people. It's happening now, probably, with different fascist regimes. It's the most monstrous display of power, forcing of power that there is. It's completely kind of in the realm of the show to display it. The other part is the Dedra kind of plotline. So we're building up to the Gorman Massacre, which is a big historical point in rebellion in Star Wars. It's the big thing which kind of tips people to either join. It's what basically causes the rebellion to move from different factions to like one combined force. It's what people who are on the fence about whether or not they should stand up and do something about all this. It pushes them to do something, and it kind of makes these two factions exist from when it is before it was just kind of like undermining things. And we see the kind of build up. I do like, and you know, it's not subtle here either. Krennic is talking about they need to come up with ways to justify invading a planet so they can use its resource. Like, that is not subtle. The what was it, Goron mineral, whatever. Gorman mineral is oil, and the Imperials in America, and they want this oil. They want the mineral. and they talk about how they should maybe like fake a disease or natural disaster, and then obviously it's Dedra who points out that the most efficient way to justify a takeover is to create an enemy to justify an invasion, which is exactly what America continuously does. Literally every single so-called, every single major political terrorist foreign force has had in one point or another funding. Usually it's the next big thing we have to, the next big thing that the West declares the enemy is the last thing they funded to defeat the last thing they declared an enemy. That's the cycle of how this whole thing works. And then you create war and you benefit from war. Capitalism is a tool of war. The thing that Doctor Who commented on when they did the episode Boom. This episode is also kind of depicting it in a way which is very kind of unsubtle, unnuanced, but like refreshing to see on a TV show. Just to be like, not even like analogized, just shown straight up. I mean, Dedra is put on charge of the Gorham project, which is both a kind of promotion and demotion at the same time. And then there's this weird kind of, okay, so somehow her and Cyril have become an item, which I was kind of like, why would that ever happen? And I was kind of hoping it wouldn't, because it's obvious and it's not really like justified. But for some reason it's happened. For some reason Cyril, I don't know. I'm trying to work out what Cyril's angle here is. Like clearly, sorry, not Cyril. Clearly, like Cyril clearly is interested in Dedra, attracted to, I guess, her and her power, and her dominance, and what it means for him, and what she represents as part of the Empire. I'm not sure what she sees in him. She was freaked out by him in the first season, and the idea that because he saved her life, he's now enamored himself with her is a bit icky for me. Maybe that's the point. Maybe it's meant to be icky. I just don't know what Dedra sees back in him. Clearly, he's a sycophant, someone to exploit, and I'm waiting to see what the exploitation is here. But there's like better people to exploit. He's not really like worth the effort she's going through in what's this? Why is there a square on my face? And how do I get rid of it? Does that always be there? Has that always been in the stream? That's like a focus thing, right? But we don't have autofocus turned. Where's that coming from? Well, I suppose I have to get rid of that at no point. That's annoying. I don't really want that. No, my hat should be keyed out. Yeah, I don't know what the deal between Dedra and Cyril is. I mean, it was an interesting kind of. I was interested by the dinner table competition more than I thought I would be. With Edie belittling Cyril, and then Cyril dropping off his bed like a child, and Dedra basically asserting her control. It was interesting. No, it was interesting in the past episode, but definitely an element of the episode. It was distracting, I guess. But it also shows that Dedra is still really good at like reading people and like manipulating people, because she had her up and downs in the first season, like in universe up and downs where she was very competent in some areas, but in other areas she clearly like wasn't competent. So it's kind of like that, I guess. I don't know, I kind of lost the end of that sentence. And then obviously the big, as is the case of season 1, really, the big plot drive is really the one that involves Luthen and Mon and the Coruscant people, but now they're on Chandrilla, and the thing around the wedding. But you know, like everyone's having this kind of like subtle innuendo-filled speeches. Some of the dialogue was weird. Some of the dialogue was like really like flat and like first drafty, but I can't tell if that's the point or not, because it's not as if Tony Gilroy is it's not as if Tony Gilroy is a bad writer. So you got to wonder if that's like deliberate, like is he trying to invoke something, or is there or was that just, you know, a slip through? But I everyone's like pulling, but like I rewatched some of the scenes because I wanted to like watch the nuances of people's faces, and everyone in this season, but everyone in like that plot line, you know, Stellan Skarsgård, Genevieve O'Reilly, Elizabeth Dulao, everyone who is an element in, I mean, what's his name? Ben Miles. All of them who are, sorry, scrapping is really distracting me. All of the characters in the kind of the Chandrilla arc who are having to talk in public but use a lot of innuendo and nuance to kind of like convey what they're trying to say and navigate around the politics and the potential backstabbing, and no one wanted to say things clearly but like still would like threaten, and like having to manage the politics. That is the strength of this episode, and I really enjoyed watching that bit. And it was shot so well. The color scheme was so good. I mean, even from the trailers you knew it was good, but I mean, all the show, like all the different scenes were shot very well. The lighting was so good. The lighting was done well. It was directed so good. But especially the Chandrilla, like the Chandrilla was basically like a Renaissance era political thriller, and I was gripped the entire time. Everyone was reacting to other things happening and having these small kind of like reactions. Yeah. Anyway, I'm like babbling words, and I also need to pack and get things ready, so I'm gonna like go and do that. And get rid of the square. Sorry, that was the wrong button. Thanks for tuning in. Timing for Empire is until 10 o'clock on Saturday. In theory, if I wake up early enough at 8 o'clock in the morning in a tent, I can watch Dog 2 in a tent and react to you from a tent. So you might see me on Saturday morning in a tent. Otherwise, you'll see me Sunday evening when I get back from Empire, and we'll react to Dog 2. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the square now. Goodbye.